Yo, what is up, folks? MTG here with blue-green in Toxic in MTG Arena Pioneer is Explorer, the MTG Arena Pioneer equivalent format. There are, in this case, most of the decks nowadays that I cover, there is no difference between Pioneer and the MTG Arena equivalent. In this case, there's one particular card that I am missing, but that is fine. We'll get to that when we get to it. With that being said, this is obviously Toxic, not actual Infect, even though we're poisoning our opponents still. I do have a new build of Infect for Modern, which I'm going to look at showcasing in a few weeks in paper. I don't really play Magic Online, unfortunately. With like Greens and Zenith, there's some new cool stuff. And it's not just like your average Rotpriest combo, but we are, of course, Rotpriesting. And that's what this deck's doing as well. So the deck is built around Venerated Rotpriest. The only good card Infect has had printed for it in the last, like, 10 years. Green for a 1/2. That's not quite true, but hey. Toxic 1, and whenever a creature you control becomes a target of a spell, target opponent gets a poison counter. And we're building around that ability there. Whenever a creature you control becomes a target of a spell, target opponent gets a poison counter ability. We're going to try and stack a bunch of poison counters on our opponent. We've seen some different variations of this, both even in Standard, where this is legal. I actually did win a Standard FNM with it not that long ago, in like a banned build. But taking advantage of this ability, we don't have all the Storm stuff with like Ground Rift that we do in Modern, but there are some really nice things we can do with it. So let's start with the creatures. We have Venerated Rotpriest as our like primary combo piece. We have 4 copies of Mockingbird, which itself does not have Toxic. Blue X is a 1/1 flyer to begin with. You can have it enter the as a copy of any creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast Mockingbird. Except it's a bird in addition to its other types, and it's flying. So, if you have like a Rotpriest in play, you can pay blue, get a Mockingbird as a copy of Rotpriest, and then all of a sudden, all your spells that target, or your opponent's spells that target, let's say it is your spells and your opponent's, you're giving your opponent 2 poison counters. So this is like one way we can like clone Rotpriest. Okay, nice. Other creatures, because we need to, like, we're not going to have Rotpriest all the time, we do need to be able to like kill our opponent without it, and so we do have some other creatures here with Toxic. We have a Branch Blight Stalker, 1 green for a 3/1 with Toxic 2, and we have Bloated Contaminator, 2 and a green for a 4/4 with Trample. You know, hey, like good stats. Toxic 1, and then when it deals combat damage to play it, Proliferate. That plays nicely into Toxic strategy. That plays nicely into the Toxic strategy as well. Here, I'm not really looking to splash colors because we're like really playing into. Ideally, we're using all 1 mana every turn. We have a bunch of different 1 mana interaction pieces and ways to try and kind of combo. The rest of the deck, and I should say, there is one more creature, Ivy Gleeful Spell Thief. Green-blue for a 2/1 with flying. Whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy, you may copy that spell, and that copy targets Ivy. So if you have like Rotpriest in play, and you have Ivy in play, they cast a spell, or we cast a spell that targets the Rotpriest, as long as it's only got 1 target. There are some spells in the deck that will have multiple targets. The March of Swelling Mist down here. It will get copied, or you have the option to copy it to Ivy. Note that you may copy the spell, so if it's like a removal spell, you don't have to copy it. But if it's like a pump spell, if it's like something that gives unblockable and draws us cards, for example, we're getting to double up on all those effects, double up on our Rotpriest effects, and like draw a bunch of cards. Similarly, like Aspirant's Ascent here gives +1/+3 flying and Toxic. We get to get like Toxic onto Ivy while triggering this stuff. Super nice. Also, incidentally, if you ever play against auras, they will have an absolute nightmare because it's any spell. It's not just instant sorcery. Whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy Gleeful Spell Thief, you may copy that spell, and that copy targets Ivy. Your opponent's like, oh, I'm going to play like Sheltered by Ghosts. Like, oh, cool. So trigger. I'll target my Ivy. that'll well, assuming they don't have a Glen Cover Scout, you can exile any other creatures. But like all their like pump spells and thing, all their like buff enchantments, you can just like copy and give them a night you should run away with the game with, which is pretty funny. So Ivy's like really cool, very nice addition. And then we have like the actual like what are we comboing with? So we have like Rotpriest, we have some ways to copy the Rotpriest, we have some ways to duplicate that effect, and then we have some other creatures to win the game when we don't have our Rotpriest in play. We have March of Budging Life. This is like the most important card, really. X in green for an instant. As additional cost to cast it, you may exile any number of green cards from your hand. Costs 2 less for each card exiled. Choose target creature with mana value less than X. Importantly, this is less than. So if you want to choose a 1 mana spell, X needs to be 2. Or a 1 mana creature, X needs to be 2. So we need to effectively be paying 3 mana in total for March of Budging Life to target Rotpriest, or just a single green and exiling a green card from our hand. So that's going to happen you'll use the exile ability to reduce the cost more often than you would maybe think. Search your library for a creature card with the same name as the creature, put it onto the back tapped, then shuffle. This is another way to copy our Rotpriest. This is also a spell that does that, whereas like the Mockingbird won't trigger the Rotpriest, this in fact will, and then we'll get you a second one, and then all your future triggers will double up. And you can also use it as like, oh, my opponent's going to try and remove this, I'm going to go get another one. We still have one in play. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Like later on in the game, you might even be like, I'm gonna go like clone a Contaminator or something like that. But primarily, you'll be Rotpriesting. So then on top of that, this is like, hey, cool, we get to double up Rotpriest effects. Ideally, we get like 2 of these in play and then can cast some stuff to kill our opponent. There are then some like evasive spells and spells that play into the quote-unquote like Infect game plan. So we have Enter the Enigma here. Blue sorcery, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Draw a card is just very, very simple. Gets unblockable onto Rotpriest while triggering, gets unblockable onto like the Blanche Blade Stalker to get some toxic damage in. Same with the Contaminator, even though this is trample, like hey. And also drawing through your deck. And the nice thing about this is you draw the card straight away. You with Ivy, you get to like double up that draw, kind of get some more effectiveness out of it, and kind of like draw to your next sorcery or your next Rotpriest trigger or your next Rotpriest. This is how the deck plays out. And then we have Aspirant's Descent. This is another kind of evasion spell, blue. It also can protect. It gives +1/+3, which is very nice versus damage-based removal, but gets flying and Toxic 1. Toxic does stack, so Toxic 1 and Toxic 1 will add up to Toxic 2, so you're going to get 2 poison counters. And then also, yeah, you get to jump your creature. The flying helps a bunch, especially again on the Blanche Blade Stalker and the Contaminator. They need a little bit of help in the game, so that's fair enough. We then have some protection in the form of Royal Treatment. Green, target creature control gets hexproof on a turn. Create a Royal Roll token attached to that creature. So hey, your opponent tries to remove your Rotpriest or one of the other creatures. Let's protect it. That turn it gets hexproof. Later on, the Royal Roll gives it Ward 1 as well, so it makes it even more taxing for our opponent. And the +1/+1 is like a nice stat boost, but really, like, we're generally going to be trying to win the game with toxic damage, so it doesn't matter too much, but it's like a handy combat trick if need be. We then have March of Swelling Mist. This is like a carryover from the standard version of the deck. We have like a number of blue spells, but not tons. But hey, as additional cost to cast, again, similarly to March of Blending Life, exile any number of blue cards from your hand, 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way, and then up to X target creatures face out. When you have multiple Rotpriests in play, they will trigger. Each Rotpriest will trigger for each target here. If you have 2 Rotpriests in play and you phase out both of them, say in response to your opponent's removal or in response to like a Wrath effect, which is super, super nice being able to dodge those, your opponent's going to get like 2 triggers for each, multiple triggers for each target, and you get to react on that way as well. So it's like a protection spell. That also is just like a fireball later on in the game. If you manage to get a couple of these effects in play, it's like, okay, yeah, just take 6 poison counters. Sounds good. And then the last thing is a bit of flavor. Flavor's not the right word. I like to have fun around here. We're playing 4 copies of Replicate. I might be pronouncing Repudiate wrong. It might be Repudiate or something like that. But hey, this is a Stifle effect for 2 mana. Can't target activate with triggered ability. Okay, there are some decks in the format this is really, really good against. It does stop things like Leyline Binding, like anybody doing stuff with the Fable Passage. Also some other things. It's also triggered abilities. You can do some pretty interesting stuff with this. But Replicate actually plays really well into what we want to do as well. 1 green blue, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. Hey, if your opponent's not got like a bunch of, if your opponent's like tapped out something, like, oh cool, this is just like copy Rotpriest, copy Contaminator, going that. So we have like another copy effect to play into our game plan that also just kind of like, get them, stifle them, you know. So I wanted to try this out. This entire deck is like a little bit, well, no, is very much on the brew end of things. We'll see how it goes. I will take this into best of 1 ranked. I do have some Okos in here, because when I was building the deck, I had messed around with them a little bit. They're a bit too expensive for the main deck, but for versus something like the control decks of the format, having it be able to be like, oh, move to combat, make a copy of one of our toxic creatures, but then also like provide an alternate win condition with the Elks, I think it's actually quite nice. So hey, there's a sideboard card that I would play, but I will be playing best of 1 today. The mana base is very simple. We've got 1 Boseiju, particularly good versus like Temporary Lockdown, Otawara, and then blue-green lands with a forest to find if we get like Field of Ruin. So we'll be taking this into some best of 1 ranked matches and see how the deck fares. As I say, more on the brew end of things. I want to play some games, see it in some different matchups, and we'll see how we do. If you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel. Would appreciate that a lot. Please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video around. All the algorithm stuff helps me out a ton. And let's get into some games. All right, first match here. At the moment, this deck is tailored a little bit to, I guess I would say my playstyle. The first clip of that is probably the set of stifles that we're playing. But it's not necessarily, okay, you're in here. That probably means Niv, Mizzet, Bring to Light. But it could be like Enigmatic Incarnation. What I actually mean by that is like kind of like, this set doesn't have loads of creature interaction at the moment in the way I've currently configured it. So if you want to be a little bit better in like the red matchups, for example, you could play some bounce effects over the like set of stifles. Given the Yorion, our opponent is likely to have a tap land start, and so I don't mind just like playing this Rotpriest out on turn 1. Which like versus like a Fatal Push deck might be a bit more risky. We don't have any way to protect it either. So I'm gonna go ahead and attack in. I'm just gonna hold on to the Ivy for now until we have something we want to target this with. I'm just gonna run out our like Infect draw. Once we have 1 green source in play, we do need a combination of blue and green spells, but in general the blue spells are the ones we need to cast off more often. But hey. The concern here, because this has for if they have like yeah, that exactly Watery Grave, they can now cast Leyline Binding. So this is kind of an interesting one because we've drawn a Repudiate here. I'm gonna attack, and if they have the binding, they do here. So this will enter, and then I'm gonna stifle the end of the battlefield ability. So they take some more poison, and now we're holding up March, and because we have a blue card, we can phase both of these out if we need to. Pillage the Bog is fine for us. This just lets them dig for some cards. Because they've not played a land before, it's very likely that they do not, or that they were pillaging to find a land. Okay. They're on 4 poison right now. 7, 8, 9. As is, I'm just going to say go. Hold up the March. Keep us safe from any potential like Deafening Clarion or the Wrath effect. Generally, these decks play 1 copy of Deafening Clarion, which is the 3 damage Wrath, for 1 red or white, and then 1 copy of Sunfall to bring to light for. There is a Deafening Clarion, so I'm just going to pay the 2 here. They get 2 poison counters, and then we phase our creatures out. We'll get them back in our turn. And then we have a lethal attack here. So this is the kind of deck that this build of the deck is very good at punishing. We just have like a dodge protection stuff and just punish them for being slow. Alright, nice one. We got the call out on the Deafening Clarion, but yeah, we were kind of pretty safe at that point no matter what. The game gets a lot harder when you don't have Rotpriest, is what we're looking at here. So here we have like Ivy. Mockingbird as a 1/1 flyer isn't really doing anything. We need to like work out if we want to mulligan this or not. We have like Royal Treatment. This comes down on turn 2. We are on the play. Our hand is a bit so-so. I'm gonna mulligan this. This is worse on the face of it, but I'm gonna keep it rather than going to 5. I'm just trying to work out if I want to play one of these Mockingbirds out. We can like I think no. Not for now. We could try and do some like weird like tempo aggro thing with this hand. And take an aggressive line, but we're gonna try and play out a combo. Glade Cover Scout. Okay, brilliant. This is good. Well, sort of. The Sata Warrior might be really handy in a moment, we'll see. I'm gonna cast Ivy and we'll see what they can do. This is kind of the best case scenario for us in that well, it depends. So if they have Shelter by Ghosts, we get to get a Shelter by Ghosts. That gives us Ward 2. We can't exile the Gladecover Scout, obviously. But then they can exile well, assuming they realize, they can exile our Shelter by Ghosts to take a lifelink off and ward off of our creature, like the next time. And then they have a lifelink threat that they'll put enchantments on, and we have a non-lifelink threat, non-lifelink threat that we'll put enchantments on. So they win that race. If they have anything else, this is going to be a bit of a disaster. But given that we don't have Rotpriest, this is maybe the ideal scenario for us. We'll see. Light Pause is annoying, for sure. I'm going to no blocks this. Right, what do we hit? Oh, we hit Rotpriest. Okay. In that case, we'll play this out. And then I think we'll go ahead and copy. We'll get bonus Rotpriest. And then, would we rather... I think, honestly, we can worry about Light Pause stuff later. Let's do our thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. This is 5 points. Okay, no, I think I will do this. Yeah, so the initial target has to be a target other than Ivy. But now they're on 5 poison. Any enchantment they cast that targets either of these will get copied onto. So they're going to do this. We're going to choose yes. We're going to Rotpriest triggers 7. I'm not going to say this wasn't a little fortunate. They can find effect now to exile either Ivy or a Rotpriest. The Ivy is probably the thing that they're most worried about. But the Rotpriest is probably going to be what kills them. Yeah, I'll just... We'll just use the Fireball. Alright, nice. That worked out nicely. Better lucky than good. Yeah, that went as well as it could have done, really. Hey, we have Rotpriest with much protection here, even though we have a one land hand. This is risky. I think given this start, I mean, it can also just die. This is a tough one. I think I'm going to mulligan this. And it's basically because, like, if we have Rotpriest, if this lives, this hand looks decent, but we still need to draw the second land at some point for us to really win the game. And if our opponent just goes, like, untap Fatal Push it, then we're in much bigger problems. Now we're like, okay, we're looking at mulligan to 5, which feels a lot worse. But we will run with it. Alright, this is no creatures, which is good. I'll keep this. This is better than mulligan to 4, but obviously at this point would be like, yes, I would have liked to keep my 6-gun hand. Alright, we have Ivy. I'd like to draw a creature. Ooh. Oh, interesting. Abzan Elves. They're probably playing like Reconstruction and Collective Company. Alright, this isn't the end of the world, but we need to be a little faster, perhaps. This is Reach as well. Do I mind trade? And I don't want to trade Ivy. If you cast Enter the Enigma, this can also draw us a land. Is this going to help us win the game? Unlikely, right? Okay, I'm gonna do it this way because then we get to draw 2 cards off the Enter the Enigma next turn. It gives the elf deck a lot of time. Don't love that, but we're not really gonna close them out in a few turns as things are anyway. We're better off taking the extra draw. If we draw like Rotpriest now, this hand looks... we can still win, at least, but if not, it's gonna be very awkward. now they have a lot of mana towards activating this. Okay, sure. So, enter the Enigma, target the Branch Blight Stalker. We'll go ahead and copy that. Draw, draw. This isn't the worst. And we don't really have a lot else going on. 3, 4, 1, 2. If they have like quarter calling, this is really rough. Oh, they probably do have quarter, right? Given the weird attack. They have 1 mana, 2 mana. They don't have the company. We can't really afford to play around much. I think we need to be proactive or we just lose the game. We'll go ahead and do this. It's like 4 poison counters. Okay, they didn't have Cord. The worry is they're gonna like Cord here for like a mana guy, and then be able to activate War Master. We're on 17. Yes, they can't attack with everything. We obviously can't really block from our side. Now they've collected company. So if they hit Lords here, we're in trouble. I think it is quite silly. Well, not silly, but I mean, we die here. If this is the line, I think you just cast this pre-combat and you can make decisions based off what you hit. But hey, alright, we'll take the loss here. Yeah, I think it's unlikely that our 7 gets us there, but yeah. The mulligan was not good per se. We're gonna mulligan here again. Something we're kind of committed to when we're playing here. This I'll keep. Again, like not like over the moon about, certainly. Every hand is better than Rotpriest. We don't have the ways to search for it that we do in older formats. But hey. Swamp, not great, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and play out the Ivy. We don't have protection for... Well, if we draw a land, we maybe have some protection from like Fatal Push, but better use it now than wait around. Okay. Really the only... I mean, they've gone swamps. This could be just mono black demons. There are some things going on at least. Rattles is definitely the more popular deck, just with the swamps. Yeah, okay, yeah, they appear to be a mono black. Do they have a clean answer for the Exterminator? This will hit us. Ow. Or if they just go Unholy Annex here. No, okay, they have clean removal. Alright. We have Ivy here, and now we can cast it with like a little protection. Still no great shakes, but hey, we can like march it out of the way and stuff. All right, Slasher is a clock. We are getting beat down quite quickly. I'm besieging this interaction for the blade. This thing just cuts a life total in half, which is annoying. Do we want to? It's a mana cost less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it. No. Access 2 here. Copy the Slasher. And hold on to the Besagi. Mine flies. So, ha ha ha. We'll block the Slasher here. We'll stun them both down. We have the answer for the blade. What they have a follow-up of. Okay, they have second Slasher. That's not great for us. Okay, us drawing the land is also not the greatest for us. This actually does not get to do its thing when it re-enters the battlefield, but stunning this is kind of worth the price of admission. Probably going to phase things out here. We'll see. It might be that I take a hit from the Slasher and then go to phase out. Like I might take a hit from the Slasher and Besagi the Oni. I really don't want to give them the 4th land because if they just make okay, they have 5. I'll have a Blood Ladder. Right, okay. Yeah. This isn't good. They're at 16. This is we lose the game. So you have to catch the march. Might as well just march everything. Okay, runner on the land is tough. Again, we have an answer for this. And we can block the slasher. We take 4, 7. This comes back as well. This is all kinds of over, unfortunately, I think. They have duress. I'll cast this. Bonus slasher. They also just have like fatal push. They're trying to be mana efficient really applying the slasher here. Yeah, so we would take half our life here and then that'd be doubled, so we'd die. As it is, we're drawing dead anyway. Yeah, there's some interesting options. But we've gone runner land. Yeah, runner land. See, to kind of close that was rough. It was really not a great start. Here again, we're looking at no Rotpriest. This started well, but we're now 2-2. A mulligan here, and we will keep this quite happily. Rotpriest versus. I want to greed a little bit. I want to be a bit greedy here. Infect. 7. I want to be a little greedy and do this, but I think we should put the PDA back. Be sensible about it. Maybe I'll regret that. The one time we've cast it, this card has been fantastic. So. Okay, the opponent's on humans, so it would have felt a lot better. Go away. I'm just going to run this out. If there is a chance they have a turn to removal spell, I think not like super likely. This Plains art is incredible, actually. I have not seen that. I'm gonna have to use that for some kind of deck or other. That's really nice. So here we have the march. So if we're marching this turn, yeah, let's cast this. We'll pay to exiling this. Target the Rotpriest. Grab our Rotpriest. Oh, Aspirant Descent, the non-summoning sick one. This will give them another couple of poison counters. Then this gets flying and toxic 2, which would be another couple of poison counters. And then we need 1-ish more spell. But on the other hand, we're getting clocked very quickly here. So this is 4 poison counters. It's not quite the right number. So I think our line is to do this. I just don't know if there's a way for us to live. Depends what they have. They have bodyguard. The triggers here, we can block this without an issue. Is where we can block this and take damage. We can't really. So it means we're putting the contaminator in front of something. We could try to block and phase out with Rotpriests. That was alternative to play the contaminator. Okay. Yeah, we're taking 8. Yeah, I guess. I'm surprised they didn't attack with the other feature. I mean, there's a chance we can still draw into lethal. Yes, and last turn, the land wouldn't have got us there, but last turn we could have gone shock ourselves, keep the Contaminator in hand, block 2 things, commit to blocking 2 things, the Rotpriest, and phase the Rotpriests out to keep them alive. That would have put them on 9 poison counters now and made us maybe be able to get an attack in. Also, if they'd attacked with this, there's some maybe potential. We're at 2, I think we're pretty dead. We can march 3 things. That's not going to get us there. Yeah, no. That's a tough loss. We'll play one more for the road. I think if we'd taken that other line where we like marched our Rotpriests to save them in combat, we had more outs, but would have still lost with the draw we had. We'll keep this. If we were on the play that game as well, we would have won, but that's also not relevant here. I'll go Ori Rotpriest. Does he not want to suffer the Rotpriest to live? There. Make Ivy. Ivy can also be quite interesting in some of these like red matchups. Soulscar. I'm just gonna burn it. No, okay, double Soulscar. Here we have double March. Isn't exactly what we want. Do I save March here? Do I save this and... Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna have a Soul Skirmish. I've decided. We'll say go. We can't merge the Mockingbird like this, but that itself is okay. Lava Runner. And then we need to cast another Instant Sorcery. I'm gonna skewer here. Yeah, so we go blue colors. X is 1. I'll phase one of these out. I'll phase out Ivy with this ability. And we'll eat the Lava Runner because it's attacked. Okay. Now it doesn't feel so bad. They have 1 card left in hand. I think we go on the aggressive here. Get in the red zone. Okay. Slick Shot might be a good punish. Not Lava Runner. They don't lead the Slick Shot back. I guess that makes sense. So they're going to have a lethalish attack next turn, but they're going to 8 here. So then, does it make sense for us to march here? You have to march X in March because this again has to have a target with mana value less than X. I guess that does happen. So now we kind of like this is a case of like, all right, let's make them block. Oh, they have conceded. All right. Yeah, that last match, I say they saw their card per turn before they Kamano flipped in. Thought they were dead to our Ivy on board. Interesting. This deck has a lot going on and a lot of interesting decisions. Like even that last game, like do we play the Rotpriest on turn 1 there? I think blind on the play, playing it out is a choice. We had the Mockingbird. If our opponent is on like a Fatal Push deck, then they go Swamp Go. Or Swamp Fatal Push. If they Fatal Push the Rotpriest, then the Rotpriest is obviously dead. If we say Go, at that point they have black up. Are we gonna go Rotpriest and then try and Mockingbird it and kind of get doubly blown out? It's tough. Versus Red, I think this is totally fine. We kind of slowed them down a little bit, but we had enough stuff going on to get through. And then, yeah, there are a bunch of deck building decisions around that as well. The way we built here, like the Repudiates, Replicates, are less good in the aggro matchups, but like really good versus like Niv to Light, Mono Green, some of the slower decks in the format. Even some of the Demon stuff, you get to counter the like backside of like Annex and some other bits and pieces, which are pretty sweet. And then like the upside versus those like less interactive decks as well is like specifically like Mono Green is that you get like, oh, like, copy Rotpriest, kind of just create a lethal board state for you. And the deck is really sweet and really fun. With that being said, you do have to mulligan a lot. I feel like you have to be pretty confident in like knowing what you want to mulligan for and whether a hand is not good enough. A lot of the hands without Rotpriest are going to look really weak. And sometimes you'll be able to put together lethal board states with like a Branchlight Stalker, an Ivy, and friends, and sometimes it's not going to get there, and I think you kind of have to be happy with it. Not happy with it, we kind of deal with that being the nature of the deck. You can definitely build this in a way to be better versus aggro as well. As I mentioned, this is definitely a slot that could be some kind of bounce spell. Whether you want to play one that will target your own stuff, like being able to pick up Rotpriest versus removal is actually quite nice as well, especially the Scry one. It's mana 2 or less, or 3 or less. Just cannot spell at all. Yeah, it's like if you want to play Fading Hope versus like Into the Floodmoor over this, or some number of these, I think that's totally reasonable. There's some other options as well. There aren't great ways to find Rotpriest. I was looking at this as well a little bit. There is for some amount of time, I played, where is it? Come on. Incubation Incongruity in this deck. As Incubation lets you look at the top 5 for a creature, and then you kind of get some removal off the Incongruity half, versus some decks, like giving them a Lizard is much better than having what they would have otherwise. Versus like creativity stuff as well. But this being able to like help you find Rotpriest is definitely an idea. And that's one other way I was looking at this. And you can even look to like, a Bloated Contaminator is like, on face up, it is a efficient, like a creature with good stats that like helps you toxic your opponent out, but really is a bit slow for this deck. Coming out 3 mana, you'd rather play a cheap creature. There just aren't lots of good options. But yeah, really interested to see what you guys think. So let me know in the comments if you've got any ideas or ways you kind of like fine tune this and stuff. Gather Courage is the card that I forgot to talk about at the beginning of the video, and I put a picture of up there, but I forgot to actually talk about in the intro. That card is not on Arena at the moment. I think it's from M20, and it's just green. Target creature gets +2/+2, but has Convoke. So it means you can cast it for free if you've got an untapped creature, like a Rotpriest in play. And that is like a really nice one, especially versus the damage-based removal. It like acts a lot like Mutagenic Growth, like the Phyrexian mana spell. But yeah, that's one card that's like legal in Pioneer, and unfortunately not on Arena. I was hoping we get it with Gather Courage, we didn't, but sorry, I was hoping we get Gather Courage in Pioneer Masters, but we have not. So that's even made it into the modern build that I'm playing at the moment as well, which is like a bit of a halfway, a bit of like 50-50. It's like some like all in Rotpriest combo stuff. So we've got like the ground rifts and all that kind of thing, but we're still playing like the like, oh, I can like turn 2 you with Glistener Elf, and tries to lean into both of those kind of styles of the deck. So yeah, again, if you're interested in seeing the modern version that I'm playing at the moment, then let me know as well, because I'm gonna showcase that I think in a week or two. So hey, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do like, subscribe, share the video around, all that stuff. Again, helps me out an absolute ton, helps support the channel, and yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out.